these syllables are known as bull. For instance, na, ga, dha, din, titta, tidikita, titikadagadagina, da tidikada da tidikada da tidikada naga tidikada da tidikada da da tidikada da da tidikada da da tidikada da. So the nice thing is that these bowls will allow one to remember compositions over very, very long periods of time. And such memory would be necessary because, remember, traditionally in India, compositions were not written down. If they were written down, they would be kept for one's own sake. Because remember, musical compositions are like money. Just like you wouldn't leave your wallet on the roadside for anyone passing by to take it and take your money. In the same way, musicians have tended to be rather secretive in India about their compositions and material. And if one had too much stuff written down, there was always a possibility that someone else could come and steal your material. This would, of course, be not to one's own economic advantage. So if you're not going to write them down, if you're going to rely on an oral tradition, if you're going to rely on remembering the material, you've got to learn your material at a young age and be able to remember it at least until you become old and are able to turn around and teach your own students in an apprenticeship type of relationship. That's why the bull is very important, because it allows many compositions to be memorized and maintained for a long period of time. For example, there was once an old musician by the name of Vilayat Ali Khan, who was known as Haji Sahib. Now in India, Haji is a title that one assumes when one has made a trip to Mecca. And it's said that Haji Sahib made several trips to Mecca in order to pray that he could become a great musician. And indeed he was a great musician. Well, this would be an example of a Haji Sahib composition. It'd go tak-da-da, tak-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, tak-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, tak-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da, tak-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, etc., etc., etc. And so that would be how this goes. So now this is what the tabla is. Now let's go and look at some interesting aspects of its construction. There are really two different types of hides used to make the tabla. There is buffalo hide used for the lacing, and there is goat skin used for the resonating membranes. And the goat skin doesn't actually attach to the lacing directly, but there is a weaving that acts as a buffer between them. And this allows a much more precise tuning. So anyhow, this is the tabla. Now we have some other instruments, for instance. This instrument is known as dilruba. Now the word dilruba literally means that which inspires the heart. It is a stringed instrument. The upper part is very much like a sitar, and the down part is like a sarangi. It is a bowed instrument. Now, the origin of the dilruba is somewhat obscure. One story is that this became very popular in the zananas, in the women's quarters of India, because traditionally sarangi players, which was a similar instrument, tended to be men, and they didn't want to bring men into the zanana. Another reason was that because of the way sarangi is played, it's played with the string going against the side of your nails. Well, the problem is it eats into the nail. You have a callosity under where the nail used to be, and since nails grow from here out, your nails never actually break. Well, I don't know about the women listening here, but if my wife breaks a nail, I almost have to take her to the emergency room. So that didn't tend to go very well with the women. The beautiful thing about the sarangi is since the finger goes this way, and since you tend to use both fingers, it does not mangle the finger in the same way. So this is the Dilruba. Now the Dilruba is also extremely important within the Sikh religious tradition, where it has been a favorite instrument for performing the shabads for quite a long time. And so this is the Dilruba. Now we have other instruments. Now, no discussion of Indian music would be complete without discussing the sitar. Now, I shan't play the sitar because I don't really claim to play it. But this is some things that one should note. Notice that there are two levels of string. There's an upper level of string, and then there's a lower level of strings. These lower levels go beneath the frets, while the upper level goes above the frets. The lower strings simply resonate with sympathetic vibrations. That means although they're generally not plucked, whenever the right note is struck, they will themselves vibrate by sympathetic vibrations. We have drone strings at the top, which are not in tune right now, and then again you have your main melody string. So this is the sitar. Now we have a number of instruments which have been taken into India but are not originally from India. For instance, this instrument is known as bulbul tarang. Well, this is just a very, very brief overview of Indian instruments. And of course it's only a very beginning, because one could think of many, many, many instruments that I have not mentioned. But if you would like pictures and discussions of many of these other instruments, why don't you go online to chandrakanta.com. That's ChandrakANTHA.com, and there's a much more in-depth discussion of these instruments as well as many other instruments that I have not been able to discuss. Thank you, and you have a very good day.
Hemos llegado al final de su proyecto, su programa Inquietud Latina. Muchísimas gracias a Houston Media Source y a todos los amigos que me acompañan en esta idea, en este espacio televisivo. Gracias y hasta el próximo encuentro.
Por una mujer bonita que burló la vida mía. La segunda, compañero, ¡hala!